This basically sums up my life. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, in today's video, I want to try something a little bit different. I want to make some dandelion coffee, and I'm going to do that by harvesting some roots. Then I'm going to roast them up and show you how it's done. So without further ado, let's do it. We have our tools and we have our dandelions. So these dandelions, it's kind of early morning here in Washington, and so the flowers haven't opened yet. Kind of looks like the plants are dying, but it's not the case because this afternoon they'll be in their prime. And that's kind of besides the point, because today we're after the roots, which grow below the ground. And so if we can utilize the flowers later on, that's just kind of a bonus. But really what we're after is the roots. Let's see if I can. Nope. So that's an example of what you don't want to do. We actually want to dig deep and get to the roots. Just like that. In the bucket they go. We want to make a pot of coffee, so we need quite a few roots. That's a nice hefty bunch. You can clean off any excess dirt, throw them in the bucket. And then keep on going. Mind you, I don't spray my yard with chemicals, with any sort of pesticides or anything. And if you do spray your yard, you probably don't want to be doing this, because you don't want to poison yourself with man-made pollutants. So if you do spray your yard, I recommend waiting at least 2 years before harvesting wild edibles from your property. Beautiful. All right, let's switch locations and get more dandelions. We're gonna grab this one. Wow, this shovel sucks. It's probably time to upgrade. Look at that, beautiful. Right now we're doing double duty. We're simultaneously weeding the yard and contributing to our health in the bucket. Tiny little roots. Mess that one up. Let's see if I can still get down to the root. Damn, look at that thing. Okay, so the cleaning process is going to be a multi-step process because I want to get as much dirt from these things as possible. So this will be my initial rinse bucket, then I'm going to have a secondary rinse, and then I'm going to put my clean stuff in there. Let's fill that up. Sergei's already bleeding. Okay, while that fills, I'm going to put a Band-Aid on my finger. Perfect. Okay, so primary rinse, secondary rinse, scissors, those are a little bit helpful. All right, let's go. For the scope of this video, I'm primarily after the roots because we are making dandelion root coffee. So that's going to be my primary focus. But because we went ahead and picked the entire plant, I'm also going to pick some of these yellow flowers because I want to make some dandelion flower infused honey. And then the greens, I tell people they're a little bit bitter. So a great way to use the greens is to throw them in green smoothies or use them in place of basil and pesto. Because when you blend dandelion greens with fatty ingredients like pine nuts, olive oil, that kind of thing, the fattiness counteracts the bitter taste and you get a very divine pesto. So use the greens in pesto and green smoothies. The flowers, I'll show you how to make them into a makeshift dandelion honey jam. And then the primary focus of the video again will be dandelion root coffee. So you can see why it's a good idea to rinse your wild edibles in 2 different rinse buckets. Look how dirty that is. It's pretty sandy and soily. And then even the secondary rinse is kind of dirty, which makes me think that I should probably do a 3rd rinse. Whoop. This is not an exact science. So if you want to rinse your wild edibles 3, 4, 5 times, absolutely feel free to do that. There you have it. So we have our roots and our flowers, and we have a big pile of greens. For the sake of this demo, I'm not gonna show you anything pesto related because that would be a huge digression. Instead, I'm gonna show you dandelion coffee as promised from the roots. And then as an added bonus, I'll show you how to make dandelion infused jam. So as you can see, the roots and the flowers have been prepped. The only thing left to do is let them dry. So I'm gonna let that happen for a few minutes, and then I'll see you guys when it's done. So I have a little drying station right here. The roots are looking like they're about ready to be used, and so are the flowers. Since the flowers are more perishable than the roots, let's deal with these guys first. This recipe is super duper simple. What you're gonna do is you're gonna take a little jar and you're just gonna put your washed flowers in said jar, just like that. Just like that. Then you're gonna fill the jar with honey. This is Costco honey. This is what I happen to have on hand. If you have access to local beekeepers, obviously use that instead. But now you're just gonna fill the jar to the brim with honey. And it helps to have a little spoon and just kind of mix it all up so that everything mixes thoroughly. The goal of this is to preserve the dandelion flowers in honey. Add a little more. And you start getting this really nice, really rich flower goop. And because honey is very sweet, it will preserve the dandelion flowers. So, you know, once you're done mixing it, you can just put it in the fridge or the cupboard, cool, dry place, and it should keep for weeks and months. Or you could eat it straight out of the jar like this, because dandelion flowers are super duper edible and nutritious. And the best thing to do with this jam is to spread it on toast or use it in any other way that you would use jam. So that's that for dandelion flower infused jam. Let's move on to the coffee. So as you can see that all the roots are clean and more or less dry and ready to go, which means that it's time to make coffee. What we have to do now is we have to chop these up into little pieces so that they roast faster. And that's a pretty self-explanatory process. I'm getting rid of all this little stuff because nobody wants to drink that. And from there, I'm just gonna slice it up into little bits, about like that. Again, nothing about this is an exact science. Just follow your heart and it should lead you in the right direction. And this stuff I might actually peel a little bit because it's very hairy, very rooty. Something like that. Okay, there you have it. So we've now chopped up all of our dandelion roots and we're ready to roast. There we go. As you roast these roots, you're gonna get a very nice aroma. It smells something that's kind of similar to coffee mixed with hazelnuts. And you want to keep roasting them till the roots are thoroughly charred, nice and dark. You want to come look? You can even mix.
Ooh. What are you making?
We are making dandelion root coffee.
Ooh. Fun.
How does it smell?
Good.
Good? Come on, you could do better than that. How does it smell?
Woody.
Woody?
Nutty.
I said it kind of smells like coffee and hazelnuts. What do you think?
Yeah. Kind of smells like roasted chestnuts. You know?
Ooh, roasted chestnuts. I like that description.
Similar but different.
Okay, I'm gonna call it. That's pretty good right there. So I'm gonna let this cool off so that I can grind it. And in the meantime, I'm gonna put some water on and get it boiling. Here's a closer look at what the finished product before it's ground looks like. So throw it in the grinder just like you would coffee beans, and then give it a nice grind. Look at that. It's a little fluffier than ground coffee, but it should do the trick nicely. Water is boiling, so we're going to shut that off. We are going to close the lid. Then I have a French press. You can make this kind of coffee however you like to make coffee, whether that's a coffee filter or a coffee machine. I like the good old French press. So I'm going to dump my ground dandelion root in the French press, just like so. And then I'm going to cover it with water. And I like to let it steep for 6 to 8 minutes. So let's set an alarm. After that, we'll press it and then we'll enjoy it. Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. Haha! And now we press. Ooh. And just like that, you have beautiful, bold, rich dandelion coffee. Enjoy it in the same way that you enjoy coffee, with cream, honey, or just black. And that's how you do it. Oh, and I almost forgot to mention, this stuff does not have caffeine in it. So it looks like coffee, it tastes like coffee, but it won't keep you up at night. Bottoms up.